Hey everyone, hello. This is Karen with Naturally with Karen. And I want you to kind of see, well, you can't really see out the window. Super snowy day. So I've been in and out of the snow, and I had a client this morning. She gave me permission to use her name, and I told her I was going to go ahead and do a share about this because I don't think a lot of people really are going to have a familiarity with what I'm going to share about here today. So the first thing I want to do is I want to wish Kim, Alicia, or Kim and Russell on Facebook, my beautiful spirit sister, a beautiful Earth Strong, happy birthday, Earth Light. I want everything that could possibly be beautiful for you this year to happen. And I know that you are with me in strength. And so it helps me to keep going, and hopefully I help you to keep going too. 2018 was a year that had a lot of different and some difficult challenges for me. I know it probably did for you too. So the snow is refreshing because it gives us a little bit of a much needed break to just kind of come inside a little bit more, not be running around outside. And for those of you that don't live way up north, well, you don't know what I'm talking about. So you'll get your rest in another way, maybe through a rainy day. So as I'm waiting for one or two people to join, and sometimes when I start these videos, I'm noticing as I am doing my best to get better and better, I'm starting them a little bit later and giving you just a moment to kind of jump on. If you have questions about anything that I'm going to be speaking about today, because this is something I've worked with my whole life, and now at 57 years of age, I've gotten better and better, meaning more and more proficient. And sometimes when I share it with people, they find it hard to believe. But down to earth, honest, lots and lots of witnesses. And for many years of the 16 that I've been licensed and insured in Minnesota, I worked in a shop by myself, meaning I rented a shop space and had a treatment room, and the client would come into my own personal shop. But for the last many years, I've been renting inside of a place with other women that are doing hair. It's a day spa. And doing other things very different from my. Some are doing massage therapy, some are doing hair, some are doing pedicures, and everyone has a special thing that they do, or maybe they like to do. This is what I like, is this remote assistance that I'm going to share with you. So let's get started. My client's name is Elsie. She's an elder to myself, not by much. And she has been coming to see me for 15 years. She comes bi-weekly, so every 2 weeks she comes, and she lives in Moose Lake. She's not really fond about getting onto a video because I felt it might be much more spectacular, and you might enjoy seeing her share about it instead of me telling her story. But I also realized that there were years and years that went by that I was really uncomfortable to put my face on the screen, and so I guess I can relate. I can, for sure. So Elsie came in for a session today from 10:30 to 12 o'clock. That's me bumping my table. And this is for a massage therapy session. And she's come for other things. And so when she gets on the table, she just had a quilting retreat at the end of January into the beginning of February. And she said, "Oh my gosh, I really want you to help me out with my right leg." And well, you know the spots, Karen. And of course I do. I mean, gosh, maybe on some level, I know her body in some ways better than she does after 15 years. And most of those years she came for 2-hour sessions with me. But in the last 2 years, she's now doing 1.5-hour sessions. Everyone kind of changes their budgets or does what they do. Okay. So she never comes in and says, "Hey, I want energy and I want this and I want that," because she knows that I just roll it all up into one. Okay. But it was really difficult when I moved to an extremely small city of 11,000 people from Santa Cruz, California, to say, "Hey, by the way, I'm a shaman." What a shaman is we're a medicine woman and someone who has developed many other forms of medicine, including intuitive intelligences. I never wanted to go to a Reiki or an energy program because what I learned came to me naturally and through the grandmothers and through animal communication and through nature. So I tell people, there's no right or wrong. If you might decide that you like Reiki, and for me, I didn't want to overlay a credentialed program on top of what I had already had working for me. Okay. Now, more and more, if you work with and become licensed with the state, you've got to have your credential, because we're moving into credentialism over competence, and which is not always the best thing in my opinion. So as Elsie was standing there and she was about to leave at about 12:30 or just a little after, she'd gotten up off the table and come out front, Cassandra Schmitz, who also rents space and who's on my Facebook account, does pedicures and hair and so forth, and does a great job, and helped me to comb out and save what hair I could, cutting my dreadlocks off, because most people have to just snip all their hair off. And she patiently, combed and combed and combed with a metal flea comb. Okay. So I wrote down this really quickly. I don't like the way the light is working here. It's probably that light in the corner, because I was like, this is going to make a great live stream. Like, I think I really have to share this with you guys. So as Elsie was leaving, I said, hey, before you leave, I said, did you see any colors or anything that you want to share? And she said, well, it wasn't like 2 or 3 sessions ago where I put on my Facebook wall at Naturally with Karen on Facebook, I put down there that she had seen lights and then flashing lights. Now this is while she's laying on a massage table with either a warm eye pillow or her face in the face cradle. Elsie doesn't do any drugs. She would be back in my days of working in the legal vocation as a senior paralegal for almost 18 years in judges' chambers and all over. She would have been who I would have picked to be on the witness stand as probably the most credible witness. Like, she's had extremely high level professional jobs. She's super well put together. She's exquisitely well spoken, and everything about Elsie just smacks of respect and trustworthiness. And she is a pillar in her own family. Okay. So as she was about to leave, and she's about to leave the day spa where I rent business space 3 days a week or by appointment, and the rest I do through the screen, the wellness coaching, she said, well, it wasn't as much as that time. I didn't see the big, the wolf that came up, which you would just never expect. And Cassandra was standing at the counter, and she was listening and partaking of the conversation. The 3 of us were in the shop today. No one really, most of the clients for hair and pedicures all canceled because of the weather. But Elsie knew that I was going to fix her up, and she made a special trip from Moose Lake in here under really, really treacherous weather. So I also texted, made sure she made it home. Let's get to it. She said, yes, I did. I saw lights. I saw flashing lights. And then she goes, I saw those symbols again. I said, oh, let me roll up my sleeve. I said, so you saw the Chinese symbols again? She goes, yes. So I just want to kind of show you this on my arm. Okay. This is, most of us use the 2 arms that we have, or we use what we have. And that is the Chinese symbol that I got many, many years ago for the wolf. That's my animal spirit that I've always connected with, identified with. I've always had dogs, or a pack of dogs like I have right now. Super kinship with dogs. So she said, I saw these, and she goes, Cassandra was looking on. And I said, Cassandra, most people would find this difficult. I mean, maybe they wouldn't find it so difficult that she came in and got a massage and energy, and she saw these lights and these flashing lights. But when she goes on to say, and this is a woman that is not into esoterics, or she's religious, she's conservative, you can see clearly, okay? But res ipsa loquitur, I mean, like, the act speaks for itself. So she said, you go right to the spots that I need. Well, that's not uncommon in a massage. A good massage therapist can intuitively know how to find those spots, especially with 16 years of work just in Minnesota, right? But I'm going to tell you how I started to explain something, and it just rolled off my tongue for the first time. Have you ever heard the word entrainment? I've been speaking that word quite a bit for probably the last 6 years, since I took a course at HeartMath, and HeartMath taught me how stress really affects our coherent heart field. Okay. Somebody was on and somebody just dropped off, so maybe they'll come back. Stress affects our coherent heart field. Now, the HeartMath Institute is located in Boulder Creek. I used to live in Santa Cruz. And what they did was they measured the fact that we have an energetic field that stems out from our heart. So I would explain it with my clients in such a way 15, 16 years ago when I first moved to a really small lumberjack, small city. And that wasn't all that I worked with and on and for. I mean, certainly people came in and out from the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and they came to visit their relatives here over holidays. And so definitely it wasn't just a small city, but by and large, the majority had just never experienced anything but hearing about Reiki. And so I spoke about entrainment first. And entrainment, if you write this down first, write down the word entrainment, ENTRAINMENT. Entrainment means I'm not drinking alcohol, vaping it up, smoking it up, getting myself into a cloud, if you will. Nothing wrong with anyone that wants to do it. But before, as a shaman, if I were just doing just massage and pulled out my lotion and kind of pampered people and just made them feel good, that alone would be wonderful. But for 16 years here, I've given way more than that, exponentially more. To entrain means that you come in a clean-hearted state. You're able to leave the baggage at the door, because we all have some baggage, right? We all have someone that stresses us out, or some kind of a problem, or maybe our debit card, we forgot it in the machine and we got to go to work. We got to get it later. I mean, something comes up, right? But the reason why I used the thumbnail for this particular live stream that I did was because you will develop yourself, train yourself to go into different brainwave states like I was trained as extremely young at the age of 4. So now the minute I go into that room to do a massage and energy treatment, to start doing coaching with someone, I can immediately go into, or very soon after, are you comfortable? Are you warm enough? Do I need to adjust anything? Do you feel good where you are? Then I start to touch in using my medicine that I make, and the client starts to drop into a relaxed state, at which point we start to, with this beautiful music in the background, ambient music, we start to come into a space of entrainment. Our energies are in a flux together. Now, I'm not an airy-fairy type person. I don't call myself a psychic. I'm a down-to-earth person who used to work in the legal field. I'm well-spoken. If I hadn't have had these experiences for a lifetime, I don't think I would believe them. But I like the words that I found on my journey through HeartMath. I like the word entrainment, because you're entraining, entraining, our energies are connecting. You know how when you come next to someone, and maybe you're on the subway, the train, you're on an aircraft, and you got to sit next to someone for 4 hours, and you're like, man, this person just kind of creeps me out. They got some really bad vibes. You okay, Fire? Fire's having a problem here. He's going to bash into the table a few hundred times. So you know how you have that feeling where it's just like, wow, I don't really want to be this close to somebody. Like something just doesn't feel right, right? So you're entraining your energy coming from this heart field. If I were to measure, and I've taught my clients this for 25 years, okay? If I were to take your electrical measurement, where would I get the largest measurement? Not from the brain. I would get it from the EKG, from your heart, your electrocardiogram over your electroencephalogram, okay? So your heart has got a large electrical signal. So if I'm in a room that's very dimly lit with candles going and beautiful music, not the kind of, hip-hoppity or rap or something you're listening to in your own car, but I mean like really beautiful streamed music, esoteric music, just wonderful stuff that I stream in. and you go into a place of very deep relaxation, depending on where the client can go. If I've got a client that stays in a very awakened state and is very controlled and very rigid and very inflexible, chances are we're probably not going to get very far. It's not going to become an art form. It's not going to become a dance. Okay. But when I have clients that have seen me for years, or clients that are super comfortable, they're plant-based, they're not smoking cigarettes, they're not doing drugs, they're not doing alcohol, they're not sitting in front of the TV, glazed over, look at the word sound. They're able to just let it go, and I can lift their arms up. There's no impingement syndrome going on. They are free and liberated. Then entrainment is much easier. So now that we've got entrainment, let's go to the next one, because I was going to call this live stream remote assistance, and I decided that it might be kind of far-fetched for a lot of people. Every time someone wants to introduce something that isn't really widely known, or maybe not even known at all in this case, people can get a little bit weird about it. And that's okay, because I'm strong enough to handle that. I am. Okay. So remote assistance, I want you to think, as I was sharing with my client before she walked out the door, and Cassandra Schmitz, who was standing at the counter, I said, as I'm in training with you, and our energies are connected because my hands are on you, I'm focused on you, you're focused on just letting yourself be in a relaxed state for the medicine. It's almost like when someone needs to come onto my computer remotely. Have you guys had that experience before? Where, so let's say the Best Buy Geek Squad, or someone that you bought a software program for, or whatever it is, right? They say, hey, we're going to jump on your computer. And at first, a couple of years ago, I was like, you're going to what? Like, my computer's right here. How are you going to get on it? And they go, well, we're going to do remote assistance. Whoa, okay. So you're going to fix my computer and you're not even in my house. I mean, that's pretty cool. Well, now that's kind of really old hat, right? Okay, so when we entrain and when we both are able to go into a brainwave state, a pattern, signals, just like you see on my thumbnail, that are flexible enough to allow this to happen, I'm able to use my hands, as you would be able to with this much practice, as sensors. I'm able to feel where the problem is and go right to it, which is different than massaging and kind of feeling where there's a bunch of stagnation and congestion. That certainly comes with experience too, but I'm talking about remote assistance following entrainment. Now, this that I'm giving you in a live stream at 57, after doing this for 16 years and trying to like allow people to realize you don't have to be afraid of it. It's okay. I don't see every secret inside of you that you never wanted me to see. Please don't fear me. I realize I really probably need to relocate. I do. Let me actually just cancel. I need to relocate to an area that someone starts to comment, we want you in Georgia. We want you in the Twin Cities. We want you up here because we would love to have that service. We would love to have someone that does a high level version of energy work and medicine on the body, and actually intuitively sensing on a medical intuitive level. And every once in a while, something on a medium level, meaning that I get a name or I get information, and I always have given it at no cost other than what they were paying for the massage. So my work has been beyond humble, even though I'm choosing to let go of that word sound now. Okay, so you're in the room, the client's on the table, you've begun, it's very warm, it's a thickly padded table. I've got warm stones and the towel warmer there right behind me. I've got beautiful music playing. I shut up when people want to get on my table because they're not there paying me for me to use them for my therapy and yak. No. And time again, 9 out of 10 people will tell me, I don't want to go anywhere else, Karen. I know you're cutting back on doing massage. I know that your focus is to do the author, speaker, and to do this energy work for people. But please, we can't find anybody else. They talk your ear off, or they use machines on you. And it's hard work using your hands all the time, right? And I make my own medicine. So first, the client is in training, which means we've come into the dance. We're comfortable with one another. When I lift their leg up, it's with ease and not, jerking back on me because they're always startled because they're so controlled and inflexible. So after the entrainment, and this starts to build in just a few minutes, depending on the client and their level of self-awareness, self-presence, and self-comfort, I go into the room, we enter into entrainment. Then with a select number of clients, not everyone, some people are way too controlled, way too stiff and rigid, way too stoic, I will go into a place of remote assistance where I'm able to feel. Now, not just feeling what? Knots, typical massage therapy language. You've got a knot over there. And clients actually expect to hear this. And I rarely ever use that language. When I'm cleaning out the rib cage, it's usually sadness and grief. When a person is laying, upright and their head is up, I start with a nice little spiral on the forehead, smoothing out around the eyebrows, clearing the eustachian tubes, going through and doing the entire earlobes, working the top of the mouth and around, and also smoothing out any tension in the jaw. Again, going through the earlobes, doing on top of the eyebrows, right? Definitely getting in here and doing the scalp. And if a person wants to leave with lots of medicine, then my cacao, shea, and coconut oil, the butter that I whip up at home, all organic, with a tiny bit of lavender, will be in your hair, giving you a conditioning treatment on your skin. Please shower before you see anyone for a massage, at least that same day, or be a very, very, very clean eater, plant-based eater, raw food eater, someone who does regular detoxification. Then if you're not showering every day, you're not going to have the smell of eating food chemicals. And that it is a big difference, okay? So I just want to make sure that I covered here what she said. Let me put my reading glasses on for a moment. Okay. So what I've done is my clients come to buy a very high level understanding. I've come to a very high level understanding of connection. This level of connection and this ability to go into a theta or a gamma brainwave state comes from my way of life. This comes from 34 years ago, getting rid of TV, never allowing a microwave. It comes from letting go of wearing a watch over 30 years ago and knowing why I needed to do that. It comes from walking and not even shaving my underarms. Now, what does that matter except that hair is a receptor? It's taking in signals and information. And what are we telling our bodies today with removing hair everywhere? On our face, constantly cutting our hair, shaving our underarms, shaving our legs, and the whole thing. A way of life is what's very, very important, okay? So lastly, I want to speak about Elsie was standing at the counter today as she left at about 12:30. She had a session from 10:30 to 12, and we started a few minutes later. She gets dressed and gets off the table. Take a sip of my water here. And just like the last two times, Cassandra Schmitz was standing there at the day spa behind the counter. And I said, Cassandra, if you weren't standing there and if Elsie weren't brave enough to speak this out loud, who would ever believe me? They know, meaning the majority of people know about Reiki. The majority of people have heard the expression energy work. Does it mean that I've got a big fat head that I have to be better than everyone else? It doesn't. But